Director of Risk Management at Willis Towers Watson. He uses his 25 years of experience in A&E professional liability, underwriting, brokerage, and to provide risk management advice, educational presentations, architectural, engineering, and construction clients. And this is Mark's second time as a presenter at our Cyclone Rodeo. So he is our next recipient of our award. I can hand that to you at the end of your presentation.
Thank you
So much, Mark.
All right, well, hello everybody. How are we doing on this fine afternoon? Thanks. Woo! All right, thanks again, Drew. That was really fascinating stuff. Hi, I'm Mark Blankenship, as he said, Director of Risk Management for Willis Towers Watson, the Architects and Engineers group. I have spent the last 26 years specializing in architects and engineers professional liability. First, as a claim representative for a design professionals insurance company, then as a broker, and then as an underwriter for this little mom and pop shop called Liberty Mutual Insurance, Liberty Bibberty. And so that's claims, underwriting, brokerage. That completes my nerd trifecta. So like I said, I'm with WTW. We do a lot for architects and engineers. That's our website. We have a lot of good risk management content there. We are also a registered AIA provider for all of you AIA folks. So today, I think I'd like to take questions, if you have them, on the fly. Let's not save it up to the end. If you've got a question in mind, probably somebody else is thinking that same question. So when I was invited to come today, I thought, well, what should we talk about? Let's talk about news you can use, shall we? I want to do a survey of the available AI tools today because, man, that's been exploding. Even since I was here last year, the number of available AI tools has more than doubled in that last year. And then we'll talk about how do you implement it in your firm, right? How do I meet the standard of care? What are my copyright concerns and how do I address them? Well, we could start, at the beginning with defining our terms. The excitement, I think, is over generative AI. Gen AI consists of starting with a data set, a corpus, a neural network consisting of various information or media files or images or text that forms the basis of your AI. Next comes prompt inputting. Here's a little trick, which is useful for prompting Claude or ChatGPT. First, tell it how you want it to act. Act as a research consultant. Tell it your question. And then, tell it to ask you any clarifying questions. And remarkably, these AI bots will respond with intelligent questions. And that will help you get the best, most refined output. And then AI will proceed with pattern recognition. Based on the descriptional sample provided, it recognizes patterns. It uses this to create new content. And then the AI uses these learned patterns to generate new examples that are similar to the ones that it's trained on. Now, I would submit to you that if we're training on data, big firms are probably going to have an advantage, right? If we're using closed data sets, they've got more data. So that's just a challenge that we're going to think about if you happen to be working in a small firm. I mentioned the pace of change. Wow, it's exploding. You could see here where things are now and where things are projected to be right now. The computers are as good or better than humans in a number of subjects, such as summarizing and writing drafts and doing mock-ups. AI is exploding at a quick pace here. So this creates, some opportunities. Although generative AI right now is in its infancy, it's clear that the potential is vast and encompasses various fields. Its ability to analyze and generate information opens up opportunities for innovative applications across industries. I think healthcare is going to be very dramatically impacted, as well as the construction field. And while the outputs are really impressive already today, the capabilities will only improve as this goes forward. So what are the opportunities for you? Well, it can make your day-to-day more efficient. It can eliminate some of the routine tasks that are really just boring and don't really demand that human input. It can also help us upskill your people, ensuring that colleagues have immediate access to the incredible amount of expertise that's amassed within your firm, both in terms of content and in people. This is important to us, given our hyper-specialized approach to doing things these days and the vast amounts of expertise and knowledge we have in-house in each of your firms. Why do we need it, though? Is it really needed? Well, because on one hand, we have the environmental perspective, and on the other hand, we have the need to build so much. Now, Drew, I think, mentioned that he said 40% of our energy is going into buildings, right? My data said 39%, but I say close enough for folk music. Right now, built environment accounts for 39, maybe 40% of all global carbon emissions, according to the World Green Building Council. And the AEC is the second largest industry, but the largest polluter. Yeah, all right. And by 2060, we think the world needs to add construction equal to the current entire building stock. What this translates to is a need to build an entire New York City to the planet every 34 days for the next 40 years. That's a lot. How are we going to do that? Well, we need to 10 times upscale is what it is. And so we can't snap our fingers and create 10 times the number of engineers, but we can upskill and leverage the abilities of the ones that we have already using AI. And so why today? Because comparing average human performance, speech recognition, image recognition, reading comprehension to AI models, you can see that AI is much better, getting much faster than any human being possibly can. This is why I believe this is here to stay. This is not just a trend. This is the new reality. So let me ask you, would you like a free summary of all of the available AI tools out there in the AEC space? Yes? Okay, thank you. Because if not, we can move on. But I would say yes. Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you to get out your phone if you're interested, and you can check out that QR code. I want to talk today about the work of my personal AI guru, Stepan Mikulik. And this link here will take you to AI in the AEC Hub. This is a free online database of all of the AI tools that are available in the AEC space today. And they're sorted. It gets better. It's not as just some pile of URLs. You can sort them. You can sort them by name, by category. That's kind of key, right? And by description. And so this is, a year ago, there were 500 tools. Today, there's over 1,100. That's the pace of change that we're dealing with today. So, to master the AEC Hub, these are the steps you would use. You can use the filters, sort to the 15 categories. We're going to look at those in a minute to narrow down your search. And it has a chat feature built in. Of course it does, right? How cool is that? And we're going to take a look at some of the cheat sheets that are also posted on this website. And the coolest thing I think that Stepan is doing, at least for our purposes today, is he's ranking them. I mean, there's all of these tools. Where do we begin? Today, we're going to take a survey of some of the ones that have gotten favorable reviews, that have sort of risen to the top, if you will, and are currently enjoying, I'll say, favorable reviews. If we look at the hub, we see these are the 15 categories that the tools are sorted into. Some are assistance, some are designed for construction. There's a lot regarding data analysis. There's a whole bunch for design creation, design development, specification, learning, of course, news. You all have those apps already. Robotics, property technology, structural design, surveying. Boy, there's a lot out there. And so, there's some cheat sheets on the website, and one of them, starts with let's define our terms, right? Artificial intelligence is a way of making machines solve problems, and the frequent forms that we encounter will be machine learning that focuses on understanding existing data and making accurate predictions. Generative AI can create a variety of types of data, such as images, videos, 3D models. It can create new data. And then mathematical optimization. This works to select the best solution from a set of available alternatives with regard to some criteria. So think about, how do I reduce carbon in my concrete? That would be an example of that. So we're going to dive into then some of the use cases for AI tools. And so for instance, text to 2D. This is used for ideation, art, design, creation, and rendering. A couple of the programs we're going to talk about in a few minutes here. Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. You've heard of these, right? Text to 3D. Wow, we can do that to create animation and space visualization. We could do a sketch to 3D that'll create artwork or help us build products. Or image editing for rendering and design creation. In particular, we're going to take a look at Veras as a useful program. So generative modeling with BIM and AI and structural design. Here are some of the tools, and we're going to do a deep dive on a few. But generative modeling can do site analysis, automation, and building data assessment. The program we're going to talk about in a minute is TestFit, as an example. BIM and AI are doing automated building design or generation of floor plans in text to BIM. Augmenta and Hypar are going to be a couple of examples we'll dive into. Structural design for low carbon design, timber design. These could be some very useful tools. Oh, by the way, it's funny. 7 years ago, my first architectural engineering claim involved use of a computer program that had a failure in the output. This is my cautionary tale. This is the 90s, and there was a high-profile public project here in Chicago, and the structural engineer wrote a program to help him calculate the structural and wind loads, and in particular thermal expansion. Back in the day, the city of Chicago used to require hand calculations. And fortunately for us, when the engineer checked the computer output against his hand calcs, he found an error in the computer output. And had that error not been caught, we might have had the situation where the glass over a classroom setting expanded and the glass fell out onto the student. So thank God the engineer did that check and caught it. But it does suggest the continued need for checking computer output, and we're going to come back to that point. Okay, so as far as AI tools for the design stage, the most important design tools for specific design stages are identified here. These pair tools with the tasks that they can do. So we have design tools for concept design and programming, design creation, generative design, and property technology. The ones we're going to take a look at here shortly are Midjourney, DALL-E 3, Stable Diffusion, TestFit, and Arc Design AI. And we can also then have applications for detail design and engineering. So we have a few tools here for more advanced stages of design, I'll say. Building design and calculation, as well as documentation and specification programs are available. There are several AI-driven design programs. We're going to focus on Augmenta and Hypar today. And then moving to the final phase, construction and surveying. So we have programs that can be utilized in the deployment phase. These include construction tools and surveying tools. And we also have assistant tools that you're probably all familiar with today, like Chat and MS Copilot. We're going to also take a look at Sparkle when we get into this. So here are, the large language model leaders, I'll say. You're already familiar with these. I'm sure. So everybody knows, of course, ChatGPT, but not as many people know about Claude or Perplexity. So Claude is something we use a lot. What differentiates Claude is its large context window. And for those of you who don't know what the context window is, this is basically how long a prompt can you put into the model. Instead of having a limited number of items, you can, for instance, you can't put a 5,000 word prompt into Chat GPT. But you can put it in Claude, and it's going to gather more data and can analyze a longer prompt at about the same amount of time as Chat handles a regular prompt. Perplexity, we sort of think of as the Google for the new age. There is a paid version and a free version. The free version is very good, so it's definitely worth consideration. And Chat, you really can't escape it anymore. I don't have many claim scenarios yet involving AI, but I have a few, and here's one of them. Who here responds to RFPs, right? Anybody? A lot of people, right? Do you use Chat? Come on, confess. All right, thank you. So I have an architect client. He calls me up one day and he says, Mark, we did an RFP response, and the client called me up and said, we need to talk. Never a great way to start a conversation, right? Well, okay, about what? Well, we got your RFP response. Your RFP response was different from your competitor's response by 5 words. Uh-oh, Lucy, we need to talk. So, yeah, it turns out Chat is very consistent in its generating its response to RFPs. So, again, this goes back to we need to, put our human touch on the output, especially if you are responding to RFPs. And a number of clients now are saying, I don't want to see no stinking AI in your response to my RFP, right? That's happening now. So, but it's still a useful tool, and I use it myself. So, all right. But one of the creative uses of Chat is you can use it to work with Excel, and you can drop files into Chat and work with them. So one example I've seen is give Chat a command to figure out if you had a random list of rooms, and you want to name them, you could upload your file into Excel and basically ask Chat, into Chat and ask Chat to finish it, and it will give you an Excel file with logical naming patterns, and it can do that. So that's all pretty cool. But moving on to the more interesting case, I think, of design creation. So here, I think, are some of the leading programs in this space. And if you go to the AEC and the AI Hub, you'll see Champion filters. So Champion is kind of viewed as maybe one of the most useful programs in this application or for this particular application today. So these have risen to the top. So this is how we started, maybe a year and a half ago. Everybody was doing these futuristic but probably not buildable designs. And now we're getting better at using them. But there are 6 tools here that we would recommend companies definitely look into of the approximately 180 or so that are identified on the hub. Stable Diffusion. Stable Diffusion is open source. It's very easy to integrate. You can have one person look into it in your firm, and maybe over the space of a few days, you can start using Stable Diffusion to render your Rhino models. To render images, you can create or take a screenshot from your model and turn it into a rendered image in a special style with a special item you want, and so on. It's very powerful. Second, of course, Midjourney. Most of you have probably used it. There's a big use case for architecture. It's not easy to use this program yet, but it's getting easier to nudge the image along to your perceived right design. There are a lot of great courses on how to use Midjourney, but it's something you really need to work with because prompting Midjourney is not the same as GPT. And we're going to talk about copyrights a little bit later, but this is a true story. I went to understand Midjourney. I said, I'll watch a tutorial on how to use Midjourney. And so I'm watching this tutorial, and it comes to a part, okay, let's say you want to create a building in the style of Bjarke Ingels architecture, famous architect down here. I'm like, that's a client of mine. So I call their general counsel, hey, Rich, did you guys license your imagery to Midjourney? What do you think? No. So they're just out there just ripping people off. Anyway, somehow they have been sued over that. So we'll get to that part later. So just be aware, it is the Wild West, man. I swear to God, that is what we're dealing with out there with OpenAI. So all right, that's Midjourney. Corbu, third one, this is a San Francisco-based startup. So what they do is within your Rhino model, you can integrate Corbu and generate renderings, piece of cake. Corbu promises to give your clients the ability to design the first look of their house. With a fun and fast generative AI, the client can look over their images, add stylistic elements or constraints, trade back and forth, and this allows you to iterate very quickly. You can refine images, upload, add existing conditions, show remodels instantly. Our fourth tool is Veras. This is by Evolved Labs. Veras is maybe one of the easiest tools to use because it's an SAS model. You can easily get the license to integrate it within your SketchUp or your Reddit. I think now MicroStation has also integrated this as well. So Veras is very easy to use for rendering. It may not be as controllable as you want because you can't give it uber-specific prompts, but there is a geometry override slider that empowers you to shape your project with precision and imagination. And they have a render from the same seed feature where you can effortlessly go back in time, utilizing the same seed as your starting point, and then introduce fresh new ideas into the concept using text prompts. LookX, this is a great tool that a lot of people are using because it's one of the best. It's also very easily integrated with your Rhino or your SketchUp, and it offers great controls for very easy navigation. And Render is specifically tailored for architects. They say upload a picture of your project and discover 20 plus unique design styles. Enjoy photorealistic AI renders in just seconds. That's what they say. All right. So moving on to design development, again referencing the champion filter here, and we have a number of programs. We're gonna take 6 because that fits very nicely on a PowerPoint slide. All right, so this is where you could say we're moving from pretty pictures to get to the nitty-gritty, if you will, something more tangible. So what architects actually work with is design development, and this category is called design development, but it is based on generative AI. So there are a lot of competitors in this space. There are about 63 tools identified in the hub. Autodesk Forma is one of the biggest players. That's a generative design tool. It works in a way that'll give you a few variables. If you want a building that's this shape, 5 stories, maybe each story has 12 rooms, each room has a toilet, or there's per unit. It can generate thousands of layouts for you very quickly. It can also analyze your space, see how the sun and wind affect your new building and that shape. And then it's a cloud software that provides AI-powered tools for pre-design and schematic design. Architects can use Forma to set up a geolocated project with real-world contextual data and model complex 3D designs in minutes. Use automated massing takeoffs and real-time environmental impact analysis to explore concepts for optimizing living quality and sustainability, or continue the design process by connecting with Revit, Rhino, and Dynamo. Hectare by Parametric. This is a company out of Stockholm, Sweden. Very exciting tool, something new that came out recently, can help you with city planning, right? Hectare is a tool for early stage volume studies, helping you deal with the inherent complexity of this critical design phase. This can generate proposals that synthesize the intelligence of code with the artistic touch of a human. That's where you come in. Hectare developed a tool set to provide geometrical and geographical awareness of access to the site, non-buildable zones, user-defined streets, just to mention a few, but it will process complex information such as light and sun influences from the very start of the geometry pipeline, producing proposals that really exceed human capabilities in the same time frame. Finally, for this slide, HiPAR can be used to automate conceptual design, estimation, building, product configuration, mechanical and structural engineering. They claim to be able to do space planning 10 times faster than a human. And this is one to watch because the founder of Dynamo also founded HiPAR, which is a text-to-bin software. More design development tools. We have Schema, which claims to allow you to go from schematic to BIM in minutes using Revit, ArchiCAD, or IFC as inputs. This will allow you to create new projects informed by actual projects you have done before. Their tagline is BIM in minutes, but Schema can look at your older designs and see what worked and what didn't. So you can kind of keep your design style in a way that very quickly updates models to level of development 350. InfraSpace does generative design of roads, highways, and transmission lines. It's one of the only AI programs that's really fleshed out for infrastructure. They say that our solution can aid you in avoiding earthworks and obtain mass balance by applying their optimization solutions built specifically for civil infrastructure projects. So if you're in civil engineering, this would be one to check out. Vitruvius is an AI architect. And like many of the current image generation and design generation tools, it might not look like something special, but we're keeping an eye on this because of the company that made it. The company is called Icon, and they are a 3D printing company. Can 3D design be interesting and not boring or monotone? Can it actually be something exciting that people want to live in? We believe that at some point, they're going to be integrating these two things, and Vitruvius can not only design your house and your home, it can 3D print it, and you can have it very quickly. And I've seen this technology. One of our clients is working with Icon, and it's really very cool. They have several designs of houses. In particular, they're addressing some of the concerns that we're worried about. So how do I design a house that's flood resistant, right, for the coastal regions? How about a house that's fire resistant for California, or basically the entire American West at this point? Wind resistant, right? And so you can build these features, and they have a machine now. You take the program, and they are out there extruding houses. Literally, I've seen it. It's the coolest thing, right? This monster machine, and it just lays down layer after layer and builds up your house, and it's very durable material. It's pretty cool. So that's here today. All right. So moving on to design specification, there are about 42 tools in the design specification arena. We're going to talk about these 6 here, which are some of the leaders: Augmenta, Glyph, Anchor. So Augmenta is a tool for MEP and electrical engineers that you definitely want to check out, because they could take your building and design electrical pathways based on your shape and your kind of look. They say that up to 20% of AEC's professional time and up to 6% of the cost of a building is spent on fixing errors created during the design and planning process. That sounds about right. You know, when we talk about the professional standard of care, how do you measure that? And I would submit one objective way to measure it is what percentage of change orders or what percentage of construction costs do the change orders amount to arising from design issues? So if you've got a new average difficulty out of the ground building, what do you think? 2%, 5%, 10%? What percentage change orders would you see? Anybody? No wrong answers. What's that? It depends. Oh, we got a lawyer in the car out here. Okay, I love it. Well, I've asked this question literally hundreds of times. The number I normally get is 3 to 5%. So this is one way we can kind of, screw that down a little bit, because, let's face it, owners don't love change orders. Glyph. If you don't want a new tool but want something that works with your existing tools, consider Glyph. If you're using Revit, you can get Glyph, and it will automate your 2D drawing production. It can also annotate your drawings. It can create sheets. It can tag your drawings automatically and quickly. It's a Revit plugin that automates and standards multiple documentation tasks in terms of sheet creation, tagging, dimensioning, sheet packing. Glyph provides customizable bundles to support multiple tasks together and synchronizes custom tasks among multiple projects. So that's pretty powerful. Anchor, you can create and validate Reddit and IFC data using Anchor. If you want to focus your design, but not so much on the data, this might be the tool for you. Anchor says that this is the most powerful SaaS program for the creation, validation, and automation of BIM data for architects, engineers, contractors, BIM managers, and project owners. Moving on to BIMify. You can use BIMify for your renovation projects, or and much more. You could take your DWG or DXF or even your point cloud and create a big model out of it. If you have buildings and old DWGs that you need to digitize, you need to create a big model, just go to BIMify and get it done in the span of a few minutes. You can create a BIM model based on almost any input, a CAD file, a point cloud, PDF, or image, and delivery can be in the most widely used industry formats, Revit, ArchiCAD, IFC, and new formats are being added continuously. Upcode is one I'm personally kind of excited about because when we have a code violation, it's really hard to defend that claim, I'll say. So Upcode is a tool that helps solve building code compliance. We're classifying this as an assistant tool, I should say STEP-on is. It's not really truly a design specification, but it fits in pretty close. So it has libraries of building codes and diagrams that illustrate code compliance. There's a library of assemblies to speed the design process. It will even recommend building products that conform with design intent. It basically hosts codes and they're listed by jurisdiction, by state, by city, or that sometimes they're also listed by publisher, be it the NFPA, the IBC, accessibility, structural concrete, etc. So you could store your relevant information about the code for the project you are working on. You can create chunks of knowledge that you can reuse to build institutional knowledge. This is one of our overall goals today. And there's a code calculator where you can enter the data about your project and it will tell you if the building is code compliant. I love that. So my second AI claim story. This just happened the other day. Engineer calls me up, said, Mark, we transferred our electronic files to the contractor, and 1/2 hour later, he came back with 30 change orders. What? How did that happen? Well, we know how that happened. He's got a change order generator is what he does. So I thought, why didn't I think of that? As a defensive measure, why don't we run our plans through, through Upcode? Let's find out before we release the plans where the issues are. Okay, moving on to DTO, or Design Together. This is a Boston-based company. They basically looked at the unsexy part of design, which is, basically getting the details right. So everybody loves to focus on the early design and the overall look and the feel of the project, but not too many people like to focus on the kind of detailed design that you need to create and solve issues. So the way it works is in your Revit model, you create a section, you create a call out, you open DTO, and then it will try and solve the issue for you. So for instance, you don't want to forget about the membrane. You don't want to forget about thermal loss that you could have otherwise. So it'll help you also by educating your younger workforce. It will usually know the details and can help you resolve them rather than the lengthy hours of peer review that you're putting into the project now. So if you have a company and you already have a library of standard details, it can integrate with your standard details. And so you can quickly get it from DTO to your Revit in parametric detailed items. So this is not 3D Revit, doesn't work that way, but you can get parametric items very easily. So DTO promises to streamline BIM content integration into your drawings, and it will recommend the most suitable BIM detail components to complete certain design tasks that you select. And it basically, you enable a visual selector and then click and place. So moving on to engineering and construction then. So there are about 55 tools in this space. We're going to focus on 6 today, starting with Victor. This is a platform for engineering applications. So Victor is a low-code platform that empowers engineers to build and share user-friendly web apps with nothing but Python. If you have an old Excel file, maybe you're a structural engineer or you know a structural engineer who has that old Excel file from '98 that they've been using and they think it's the best Excel file in the world. Maybe it's time to actually upgrade to a web app. You can do it with Victor. It can go from small scale to large scale, and they also have a free trial feature. And oh, by the way, I'm not selling any of these programs today. I have no investment. I'm, not recommending them personally, but these are things that have been found to be useful. Okay, Inspect Mine. This is a huge productivity boost for you if you do a lot of construction checks or inspections. So you're doing construction contract administration. Maybe you spend a few minutes on the site, but it's going to take you at least an hour to write your report and format it. With Inspect Mind, you can automate this process. The way it works is you send current maybe 5 or 6 reports that are in your format, so it looks at what you do, how you do it, and what you like. And then it will, analyze that format. And then the next time you go, you take your phone or your tablet and you take video or you take photos, whatever suits you best. Then you talk to it to give it voice commands on your phone or tablet. And then what it does, the AI will take about 15 or 20 minutes, and then it will combine those two things, the pictures and the narrative, and it will create a report in a very nicely formatted way. So if your business is actually, property condition assessments, you could be a lot more productive. You get more done in a day using Inspect Mind. Gantt AI. Who loves Gantt charts? Woo! Oh, my nerds. All right. So Gantt AI is a very exciting thing because I don't know anybody except for you two who get super happy and excited doing Gantt charts, right? So you know how it is. Nothing seems to work. You don't know who's coming when. Finally, we have an AI tool for that can help. So there are AI optimized schedules that can perhaps save you up to 75% of the time you would otherwise spend creating these charts. Interesting thing is they can look at previous schedules, see what worked, what didn't, and with that information, they can help you create a better schedule next time you're creating one. And they have a process. That process starts with uploading some schedules from your past. They want at least 10, ideally 100. The more robust the data set, the better the output. But then all the data needs to be on legible PDFs. It will identify the project parameters, and then for each schedule, identify your parameters such as the footprint, the location, the cost, the complexity, and these parameters will help the AI better understand the project. Then train your AI model. Once the schedules are uploaded and the parameters are defined, you train the model to understand each project and analyze the data to create a highly realistic schedule model for the next project. And then now that you have a trained model with your custom scheduling model trained, you are able to review any new project against that model. And to start off, you would select an available custom model, and it will the Gantt AI will provide feedback on discrepancies that you might want to address. And once the parameters are identified and the schedule is uploaded, you click on the review button. The AI will analyze the updated schedule, highlight any deviations from the trained model in seconds. So pretty powerful stuff. Sparkle. Sparkle is solving an issue that BIM should have solved years ago. Quantity takeoffs, right? Speaking of things that we love. So every day, with all these deadlines, all this constant pressure, it's hard to find the time to check all of your quantities. Maybe you have duplicates. Maybe you forgot some data. Maybe you forgot to put something in. Now the contractors are on the receiving end of our BIM models, and they're struggling because they can't count on what they get. They usually need to hire expensive checkers or send it back to the architects and pay them to do the double check. So Sparkle is actually solving this problem with their platform where you can navigate your BIM model or IFC model and chat with it. You can easily ask it, how many windows do I have on the second floor? How much concrete do I have in the foundation? And it can create schedules very easily for you that you can use to collaborate and share with your partners, with your collaborators. Sparkle supports 3D and IFC format and 2D and PDF, so you no longer need separate tools for models and sheets, and Sparkle will automatically update quantities when the design changes, and I personally love that feature because that's when stuff starts to go wrong, is when owners start to make changes mid-design and things don't get integrated, so it helps with resolving that problem. All right, so moving on to, let's see, where are we here? Engineering and construction tools. Oh, we still got Built Victor and such. Okay. So, I already did that. Built robotics. Oh, yeah, we need to talk about built robotics. I'd like to stand up here and say that AI is not going to take any jobs. But then along came built robotics. And so this creates autonomous construction machinery. They can add a black box computer to an excavator, and it can do autonomous excavation. It will work day and night, and it can excavate the pattern that you give it. And they do, this is used a lot now for solar piling. You can have an excavator and a piler working together with no people involved. We're at the scene there. And so solar piling can be done very quickly, very easily in your field. They don't take breaks. They don't show up drunk. You know, there's a few people that are going to lose jobs because of built robotics. Concrete AI, this is a software that minimizes your cement usage, and cement, we know, is the biggest polluter of all the things that you use. To bring this back to where we started, back to even Drew's presentation, when we talked about solving the 39 or 40% of CO2 emissions from our industry, you can minimize cement usage without minimizing stability using Concrete AI's Copilot. So it claims to deliver simple, fast, and flexible decision-making tools to optimize concrete performance, cost savings, and carbon reductions. They have merged what big data and AI do best to take enormously complex data sets and process it in real time, the best of what experienced engineers and concrete professionals offer, human judgment, creating a new pathway to optimize mixed design. They claim an average of 30% carbon reduction, so that's going a long way towards solving that issue for us. Finally, we're going to talk about a couple of more of engineering and construction tools. TestFit and ARC. TestFit claims to maximize site potential and get the right deals done faster using AI iterations. Basically, you select your site from parcel data or draw from meets and bounds, build out an entire site without missing a mode. It has customizable road layout, built-in topography. You can visualize your site plans in 3D context, and using parametric input, tell the AI what you need, unit mix, setback, site circulation, parking ratios, etc., and the computer will do it for you. Finally, ARC Design. This is a platform for schematic design. It promises to optimize profitability, density, and living standards while meeting U.S. code regulations. ARC Design software generates optimized building designs instantly, allowing architects to make better and faster decisions. From concept to construction, design the most profitable configurations, optimizing for density and profitability. Woo! All right, that was a lot, right? Questions so far? Pretty exciting stuff, huh? So how do we do this? How do we use this and comply with the professional standard of care? I don't know if any of you have some concerns, but I do. And last time I did this program, I was in Minnesota, so I have the Minnesota Professional Rules of Conduct, very similar across states. What is required of a design professional? First off, let's talk about disclosure. Do you disclose the use of AI to your clients? Let's think about that, shall we? Rules of professional conduct uniformly state an obligation to provide full disclosure, that you will be truthful in professional documents, including plans and reports, and accurately represent the licensee's responsibility for the scope of work. Well, I would say ultimately what they're really thinking about is you're defining what parts of the job you're responsible for, and you have responsibility for your AI output, but it does suggest that maybe we want to disclose AI, the use of AI, if we're in fact using it for design purposes. How shall we use it? Can we rely on the AI output? Well, what is our professional obligation? It is to act with reasonable care and competence, applying the knowledge and skill that is ordinarily applied by design professionals. That's the case in every state. In every state, we are required to use that degree of skill shown by similarly situated professionals practicing in the community. So it's going to be an output based determination. I don't think it's so important how we got to the plan set. It's basically what's the result? How good is it? For instance, if you're a senior in a firm, you're probably reviewing the work of unlicensed professionals working for you. It's just a little bit different to think that the computer is another unlicensed professional working for you. You are responsible to review and correct the output of that individual or that computer, as the case might be. And what does it mean to use the seal, the professional seal? Well, it means that the person who uses the seal is representing that the plans represent the professional skill and judgment embodied in the plans, designs, and advice involved in the work. So what this tells me is if you're using AI, you are still fully responsible for the output. And if we look at the AI licensing agreements, and we're going to look at one in a few minutes, we will see that AI accepts no responsibility. They don't, no. It's all on you. So despite all the great advertising and everything, it still remains, the output remains the responsibility of the design professional who uses it. And there is always in the licensing statutes a reference to direct supervision of the work. Basically, what the laws are asking is you have to personally review the output. They're trying to prevent plan stamping. Okay, somebody did a set of plans, I stamped them, we're good to go, right? No, use of the seal implies that the work has been reviewed and the person in responsible charge supervised the creation of that work. So what does it mean for use of AI? I think AI can be viewed as an augmentation of human capabilities. I think of it as a small army of junior associates who are not licensed, who are working for you and just giving you data faster. So it can provide, obviously, data-driven insights and guidance. It can automate the process of estimating, leading to more accurate budgets. But the success of AI depends on the availability of good data. And the integration of AI creates a couple of new concerns. AI can have errors. We call them hallucinations. And this can lead to professional liability. And we also have copyright concerns. We're going to move on to get into that in a little bit here. That's the definition of standard care. Now, let's talk about contracts. What do the contracts say? Well, if you're working with an AIA agreement, this is what the AIA says about the standard of care. Notice that the AIA very closely tracks with the legal obligation of an architect. This is great because what you have insurance for is failure to meet the professional standard of care. And what we don't have insurance for is contractual obligations above and beyond that generally accepted professional standard of care. But at least under the AIA, very closely monitors or mirrors the legal standard. And the EJCDC has similar definitions, so all the professional associations kind of agree. So if there is a claim, then the trier of fact, be that a judge, a jury, or an arbitrator, will try and compare the conduct of the design professional to an objective standard. And that standard is, how would the comparably qualified and experienced engineer have performed under similar circumstances? Now, currently, there are no legal standards or universally accepted best practices regarding the use of artificial intelligence. We are out there on the bleeding edge, folks. And the pace of change creates a certain amount of uncertainty. What are the prevailing standards now at the time of the alleged brief? What will the prevailing standards be a year or 2 or 3 from now when that dispute gets adjudicated? Will we have evolved? So when defining the standard of care, I would like to say it would be that the standard of care demonstrated by similarly situated professionals at the time services were provided. We don't have a silver, a window into the future. So, another case study. Any lawyers in the room? Good, okay. So The first AI real claim study that came to my attention happened to a lawyer. So sad, really. So here what happened? Lawyer used Chat GPT to draft a brief, and it was a genius brief. I got to tell you, it was compelling in every way. Only problem was it hallucinated 6 of the cases that it was relying on. Lawyer didn't bother to check the work, submitted the brief, confident and his motion would prevail. Well, the judge and the other side started looking up the cases. There's no these cases don't exist. And then it came out. Chat GPT was doing some creative writing. And, that got the judge a little mad. And he sanctioned the lawyer and fined him $5,000. And the citation for breach of ethical responsibility cited bad faith actions, conscious avoidance of professional responsibility, false statements to the court. Not the kind of stuff you want to put on your resume, So that's what happened to the lawyer. What can we take from this? What is the lesson learned that we can derive? Well, this finding, I think, puts us on notice the emphasis on accuracy of filings when using AI. The risk of errors requires stringent verification of AI outputs. And we have the black box problem. Even the designers of artificial intelligence, the programmers, cannot tell you exactly how AI gets to its output, right? There is a bit of a creative mystery going on in that black box, which makes it very difficult for us to stand up and say, well, we relied on the output of this AI because we knew it would give us a reliable result. How did it give that result? I don't know. It's not a compelling argument. So this is a piece of art, is what this is. Who likes this? Anybody? Oh, you like it? All right. My man loves computer art. This is the first piece of purely artificially intelligence-generated art that was submitted for copyright. It's called A Recent Entrance to Paradise. I don't think it's all that compelling myself, but what happened was that the Copyright Office denied the copyright application because this was made without any creative contribution from the human actor other than prompt engineering. And this decision is currently being challenged in a legal case, Thaler versus Perlmutter. Perlmutter is the head of the Copyright Office. And what the Copyright Office is currently saying is that the copyright statutes only provide protection for works of human authorship. And so now there's a public inquiry going on into how the law should apply to the use of copyrighted works, especially in AI training. And there's a lot of litigation going on right now in terms of copyright because the major models, they've just done a big scrape of the internet and incorporated that data into their models, much to the chagrin of the content creators, especially like the New York Times. A couple of cases that might be notable. Getty Images is suing Stability AI in Delaware over the alleged misuse of copyrighted images. And it turns out that the company copied more than 12 million copyrighted images and their associated metadata without seeking permission. Back to the Old West. And the suit claims that Stable Diffusion was trained on billions of images scraped from the internet without consent, including images owned by a trio of artists. Midjourney CEO David Holtz admitted that the data set his company trained on was just a big scrape of the internet, right? And the company had not sought consent from any of the artists who owned that work. That might be a concern to all of you, my content creators, right? Where is this going? Well, we don't know for sure, but if we're reading the tea leaves, it might not go so well for the plaintiffs. The judge hearing the case, Judge Orrick, said, I don't think the claim regarding copying of output images is plausible at the moment because there's no substantial similarity between the images made by the artists and the images created by the AI generators. So unless your details pop up in clarity in the AI output, these AI companies might escape liability in this copyright litigation. But right now, Copyright Office says it will consider whether AI contributors are the result of mechanical reproduction or the author's own mental conception to which the author gave visible form. So when AI technology receives solely a prompt and determines the expressive elements of the output, the generated material is not the product of human authorship. This means it can't be copyrighted. What matters is the extent to which the human had creative control over the work's expression and actually formed the traditional elements of authorship. So where are we today then? Applicants have a duty to disclose the inclusion of AI-generated content in a work submitted for registration and to provide a brief explanation of the human author's contribution to the work. Applicants should not list AI technology companies as a co-author, and AI-generated content that's more than de minimis is explicitly excluded from copyright protection, and applicants who are unsure of how to fill out the copyright application may simply provide a general statement that a work contains AI-generated material. So I mentioned that the AI companies have these pretty strong terms and conditions, right? Here is an open AI agreement. This happens to be the model of Midjourney. And if we look at that, when you break the shrink wrap, download the software, these are the terms you're agreeing to. That you are using the software as is. There is no warranty associated with it. It may take and use your data for training. It may share your personal data, if you put it in the model, with service providers, third-party vendors, consultants, other business partners, publishing your data far and wide. The data may be stored out of state, maybe out of the country. Could be Russia, China, name some other bad actors, I don't know. And they actually go out and say, and it's not 100% secure. We could get hacked, sure. Well, I guess we kind of knew that, but thanks for reminding me. And then we get to the indemnity, the real nitty gritty, right? You grant a perpetual, worldwide, non-exclusive, sub-licensable, no-charge, royalty-free, irrevocable copyright license to reproduce prepared derivative works, publicly display, publicly perform, sub-license, distribute text and image prompts resulting from your inputs. So basically, you're giving your stuff to Midjourney. And then, should there be a problem? It's not going to be their problem. Definitely going to be your problem. Because to the extent permitted by law, you will indemnify and hold us, meaning the AI company, harmless from any third-party claims arising out of or relating to your services or assets in any violation of these terms. So if your client gets upset and there's a copyright infringement case, and the reason this bothers me these days is I'm seeing in almost every owner-drafted contract, I am seeing indemnity for copyright infringement. You will indemnify the client for any claims arising for copyright infringement. Well, if we're using open AI, I think we're exposed, and that starts to scare me. So either I think we want to use closed AI for plan generation, but also we might want to try and negotiate the terms and conditions if you have the ability to do so. So recommendations. I would recommend we disclose use of AI. If it turns out that there's a lawsuit and there's a claim, and now we're being deposed, and it comes out that, oh yeah, I used AI to do the modeling or whatever. And it's like, what? You did not disclose the use of AI? If you're a good lawyer, we call that, in the insurance business, we call this a bad fact, right? A good lawyer will use this to make you look bad. Thanks. And so we would recommend disclosing the use of AI so that we don't have that, oh, dang moment. We should allow companies to train models on their own servers without having to share data and optimize the benefits of large in-house data sets and intellectual property. Basically, like I said, this is where I think the advantage goes to large firms. They will have more data to work with, be able to develop more sophisticated models. Right now, there's still, I think, a long way to go before AI models are safe to use for safety-critical applications in engineering. Right now, areas with a bit more, I'll say, margin for error seem more better suited to use, such as forecasting and quality assurance. Recommendations, let's collaborate with legal experts who specialize in technology, intellectual property, data privacy. And, you know, there's going to be rules that are being made. Right now, the White House is recommended regulation regarding AI. The European Union has already put forth regulations. I would invite you to get involved with the political process and support tailored AI regulations made by lawmakers with input from a wide range of stakeholders, as opposed to internal, self-policing regulations put forth by AI companies, which they would probably prefer. Just a couple minutes left. This might be a good place to break for questions. Yes, sir.
So I got a model.
Mhm.
Model was developed by
Question being, if I put this into a data set into an AI model, do I take on some liability? I think the big question is that a closed or an open AI? And if it's open, a lot of these are open, and I'd say if it's open, then yes, you're exposing yourself to copyright infringement issues. This stuff has not been sorted out yet. Yes, I would start with clarifying the intent. I'd also want to understand the context. What are the confidentiality requirements in the contract? Who owns the copyrights? Is this a work for hire? Are these copyrights really going to belong to the owner, or do you own the copyrights? I feel a lot better if this is you own the copyrights and I'm putting my own data into the AI because I own it. It's my copyright. But if you're taking data from somebody else and you're putting it into OpenAI, I think you're exposed. Mm-hmm. Declaration and consent would be ideal, but again, I want to understand, are you in a closed system or are you putting your data into an open system? Yeah, so I would want the consent of my owner, whoever owns those copyrights. I want them to agree to what's happening. Yeah, yes, sir.
What about AIs thinking up codes particularly that are using copyrighted material to provide a service? NFPA,
Right.
IUC, all those
codes. Welcome to the Wild West. So there's a lot that's unknown at this point, and it's being litigated now. And it's kind of a TBD thing, but I am afraid a little bit for any open AI model, if we're putting confidential data, personally identifiable data, stuff that we don't own the copyrights to, I think you're exposed. And oh my God, if you get into a litigation, do you know how much intellectual property lawyers charge per hour? $1,000? Yeah. Oh my God, it gets real expensive real fast. Yeah. Any other questions? I don't know, Ben, I think it's about time, right? All right. Hey, thanks everybody. Really appreciate your attention and time today.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.